So I've been asked to talk about my sci-fi and about finance, right, about money, but I will really talk about music. So if I say inflation, how many of you think about money? Well, everybody. And how many of you think about a time right after the Big Bang? Nobody? 1.5. 2 people. Yeah. So now that we've talked about money, I can talk about this. I'll come back to it though. So I hope this thing works. Yeah. The premise is about scientist Al Yukin, whose research in times that are dystopian, who saves mankind basically, using a time machine. And she flees into the future and helps Ro and his team in a distant future save the universe, not the world, not the earth, and in some of the histories visited. It gets really complicated in the future when they use a new technology. So, does it work? Does it work? Can somebody back there just press next? Yeah, great. Thank you very much. Thank you. We have our tech specialist back there. All right. There must be a solution to surviving. If there wasn't, it would not be relevant for us to know. That's the premise that takes Al Yukin all the way from the 23rd century to 10 billion years in the future. And there, humans don't live on Earth. Obviously, there's no Earth. They live on ships. Planets are alien. And a group of humans has a project to save the universe, to save a large portion of the universe. Al Yukin gets there. She must adapt. The team, the headquarter team, must check on the outbound teams because they're not sending the messages they were supposed to send. And Al is the only person on board who can use their newer technology because their earlier technology required multiplication. Everybody else has used that. She just got there. So she heads off on her mission, and she finds out that every time she takes a trip, she drifts into a parallel history. A mission that has become impossible to achieve the moment she took it. Next, please. Thank you. Alien life to be saved. Alien life to protect oneself from. Al, in her capsule, on her way to teams of multiples, explosions and catalysis around the universe. That is the kind of image that we have. Now, in the beginning of the story, what we see is that after that time, after the foreseeable end of life in the universe, Al and other people save a planet and its inhabitants and its moon by transporting it, all of this, into the already saved, the already secured part of the universe called the Neo-Universe. Now, I am a musician, thank you, who grew up in among books, doing martial arts, a lot of science books, a lot of other books, and there is a couple of dozen scientific concepts involved in the premise. Now, I could say that I wrote this to give hope to astrophysicists, or to encourage long-term projects as opposed to the next quarter or the next year or maybe the next 4 years for some people that people usually care about. These are projects that take like 10 million years, not billion years though. That's when they started doing this project in the future. So why would one care about such a long project? Well, they live a lot longer, right, at that time. But we may want to just do that even if we're not there anymore at that point, to just work on something long term that can be of use. That's the idea. Or I could also say that I wrote this to flee. Well, one thing is for sure, I did flee because Aleve and I are pretty much the same, almost, not exactly. So it was really helpful for me. And what I would like you to do next time you hear my music is to have digested all of that universe that is behind that music, that is behind all of the work that I do, and that is not readily apparent, but it kind of flows into everything I do. So that's pretty much the goal for me today. Thank you. My music world does not appear very clearly, only vaguely, in the story. Right before Al departs on her mission, they gather and have something they call a party. There's a whole theory about what the definition of a party is in there. So they listen to some music, and Al says, "This sounds very experimental." Everybody's very amused by that, and she asks, "Who wrote this?" "Music doesn't get written," Mike says. "We have a talking mic on board. I always wanted to have a talking mic, so why not write about it?" My martial arts side appears mainly in the training sessions that they're supposed to have, because they're advanced bodies, as I mentioned earlier in the opera. Their bodies are very adaptable to new conditions, new environments. But on the other hand, because of that, they are quickly resorbing. Their structure is quickly resorbing. So they need to train every day quite hard in order to keep that going. And there's also a reference to the learning that is helped by the compassion of the teacher. That in martial arts, I think, for me, has been always very important. So now, along that line of thought, I'd like to say that the peripheral effects of the way are the goal. And this is science fiction, it's not science. Science is something that is subjected to the scientific process, and that works when the people implementing that process really can make the difference between their assumptions and what an experiment really proves. So, knowing that, whatever proposals you find in sci-fi, in this sci-fi or elsewhere, it's not so much about the proposals themselves as about where you land when you're thinking about that, while you are considering that. Thank you. If you're able to understand thoroughly and easily what you're doing, everything that you're doing, then you're not doing your best, then you can do better. You must barely be able to bring a hunch ashore before passing out for other people to apply in their own fields, in each of your fields. Yeah. And it's really easy and important to take somebody else's experience via their intuition. It's easy to take intuition. You just listen to whatever is being said. You just watch whatever is done, and then perceive them in some way, and let it sink in, and just do your own work as usual. And eventually, it can help. It can help. All right. So I've been asked to talk about money. It is notoriously difficult to predict what's going to happen in the markets, but yes, especially if there are structural changes. Even one, but there will be many of these in the future, obviously. But this one effect of artificial intelligence is an issue in every scenario that I would think of, unless there is some security solution that is found. In a not that long time in the future, the Global Corp Service, GCS, takes over everything about life and society. You have implants that enable the GCS to know what you're going to do just moments before you do it. Everything you know and see is centrally controlled. And telecommunications are not usable because if I call you, there's no question that I could ask that would prove to me that it's you who's replying and not a bot. So what do you want to do with that? Huh? And then the GCS falls, killing millions that were attached to it for medical reasons or for other reasons. There are no markets left, no belief in such things left, hardly any money. Bartering took over that role, replaced these, and because it is these are instant and local transactions that require only minimal trust. That's the only thing they can do at that time in the future. It's only after that that Al Yukin's story begins. Her parents get killed by a mob for having eaten meat, and it's a nice future we have. Yeah. So afterwards they get collected, Al and two friends of hers, when they're very small, by a school that wants to teach them science so that they would prove their beliefs with scientific research. But they go rogue. Eventually they become sort of a mix of hunter-gatherers and accelerator researchers. And they succeed in their research without funding, upon which the school decides to kill Al for her knowledge, because she's the only one among the three who knows really everything about the project. But she decides instead to try her new machine and flees into the future. Eventually, humans will have access to practically endless mining, and that all of them, pretty much homogeneously. There aren't a group of people that have privileges in that sense. So that's why they can consider saving the universe. Now, one question I would have to you is, if you had access to practically endless mining resources, is that what would come to your mind? Saving the universe. Yes, please. What to do knowing what is, that's the question that I have every day. Now, what is she supposed to do, Al, when she goes on her mission? Her job there is to check on the outbound teams. These are teams sent very far from the headquarters ship in order to proceed with explosions and catalysis that will reestablish some sort of a neo-universe that is safe. And they're not sending the messages they're supposed to, so she goes and checks on that. But if too many explosions take place, then it could contract. So she also has to tell the remaining teams, once there's a quota of explosions that took place, that they should abort. And please. So what can happen, even if it's extremely improbable, is that there would be, at the last moment, some life form that needs to get saved before an explosion happens or a catalysis happens. Or there could be a life form that goes undetected and attacks in self-defense. Or, of course, there are always the telecommunication problems and transport problems, and people from the mothership who want to hinder that project. Just pretty much the way Al's project was hindered in the beginning, while still on Earth. Thank you. So, I think, therefore, something is, and you believe in my existence, therefore I exist for other people than you and me, which is very true today with the web. So I'd like to thank you all for this, and I'd like to answer any questions you have. Thank you very much. Thank you for this presentation.
Thank you, Aleve. You are way out. Ich glaube, es geht uns allen gleich im Moment. It's cool that we'll survive, kind of. I don't know about that, but it's cool. Die Fragerunde is offen. Please help me out there, because obviously she's way out of ahead of from all of us. Or is anyone in 33,000 years? No. Please.
Just thinking that it sounds similar ideas. Cloud Atlas, there's a book came out a couple of years ago. I think it came out the film. Not the idea of the book, of the actual story, anything like that, but they're discussing more globally of the future, how it could look like in, I don't know what kind of time. I think they're not talking a billion years, about a million years. But it's just interesting that how you imagine it could be, sort of how the events. I guess in that one which I've read, which then I can relate more to, one thing happens after each other, and that's the same or seems similar thing happens, I guess.
Actually, the book itself is really short. But I did have to think about everything that happens that is not mentioned in the book, because it needs to
make sense.
Yeah, it needs to make sense. Totally.
Aleve, a lot you do has to do with the future, and it's all very not complicated, but difficult to grasp at times. Okay. Now. And now my question is, why is it so difficult to even convince young people and kind of this class of people who want to be, innovative and creative and what have you not,
crazy,
to think about the future and to be ready even to buy that book?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I wish that people would think about the future more, because it's, if something is only temporary, then what's the use, why bother? Yeah, why bother work? Why bother anything, Yeah, somebody asked me to wear this.
What's this about? We cannot read it.
Thinking like no creature might lead to relevant conclusions.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is this is an interesting point. So, wenn ich das richtig verstanden habe, wenn man nicht an die Zukunft denkt, warum leben? Why live if you don't think about the future?
Yeah, if something.
But now you are thinking 33,000 million years ahead.
Yeah.
And the project they are working on is a project over the next 5 billion years, kind of, oder? We do projects that go 2 weeks, 3 weeks, half a year.
Yeah.
Is there hope for us that we can change our short-term attitude to a kind of a long-term attitude, or is this your dream and wishful thinking?
Well, for one thing, that is my wishful thinking. But I mean, the longest project I've heard of was something that takes 100 years. And this was not done in this culture here. You need to have some sort of attachment to things that will happen in the future. Somehow, either maybe some sort of morally, I don't know, or that you would care about your children, you know, that the next generations. I'm sorry.
It's interesting. Does anyone care about the other's children? Obviously not. No, I'm sorry.
There is hope.
Oh, there's one. Yes, we all care about our children's, but there's a difference to the other. Good. What culture was this? Was this project that went
Japan.
over Japan?
Yeah.
They are crazy, or the solution. No, I mean our longest project is NEAT, kind of. NEAT, the tunnels through the Alps. This is our way of thinking long term.
Yeah, well, that's you know the first research lab that Al has. I have looked up every tunnel in the world, and the one little stretch that would, you know, work, technically speaking, was in the Gotthard. So the story of saving the universe starts in Switzerland.
Back to the Red Wing. We've been there already in the 40s. Cool. Please.
Wasn't CERN the biggest project?
Oh, so I forgot about CERN, the Goldteilchen and everything. Ah, yes.
Sorry, Daniel, but you're thinking about what you say something very interesting, but I've got the feeling that if we care about our own children, it's like caring about all the children's. Because I care about my children, you care about your children, and if we care in a good way, it's like caring in a global way.
The thing is, I'm atheist, so I don't care. But interesting. No, Paco, Buenos Aires. I'm here just to introduce you to everyone. Interesting point. Thank you. Okay. Yeah.
So.
Well, if you look, so outside of our industry, if you think about infrastructure and utilities, there are companies that plan more than 100 years in advance. And I'm looking at this T-shirt here of that you're wearing, Evernote. They want to be at least a 100-year company. So some people in our industry are also starting to think ahead.
Hitler wanted to be also 1,000 years. It's difficult about having these big plans. Okay. Please.
Okay, to come back to the financial side of the business, you said that there'd be limitless mining resources.
Oh.
Okay, so if you think of that in financial terms,
Yes.
limitless, financial, and everyone has it. So is there any transaction currency in the future? Is it an egalitarian society? Is communism at last there? I don't know.
Kids want communism back. It's a sticker on the streets right now.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God. Well, basically, people don't need. One of the things, I don't know what your answers were to the second question, which was assuming we would have those technologies. what approach, which kind of mindset would be necessary for us to still be alive in 10 billion years, they have a totally different sort of personality, if you so wish. You know, one of the biggest challenges I had was that I have those ideally balanced people, and I had to unbalance them a little bit, because you can't have a story because there are no conflicts if you don't have any unbalanced personalities. So what they would do is just they can take care of themselves. They don't need, there's no need for any sort of structured political organization for them to take care of themselves. See what I mean?
Yeah.
So they are not going to do anything that would hurt people. So there's no need to manage them. See what I mean? So, but in the story, I had to change that a little bit because nothing would happen otherwise, right? They would just save the universe. Period. I mean, the book would be one sentence long, and so there is, the mothership, which we never see in the story as it's written now, that sends somebody to keep an eye on that project, but he can't really do something because they've already sent all the people out. But then to answer your question, there's practically no such known organization, a type of organization that we have politically or that we know of or anything like that at this point. Is that the answer?
Well, it's the perspective.
Yeah.
Just a quick comment or interjection. Your premise is that humanity needs to be the shepherds of the universe or future multiple billions of years from here on out. Does humanity actually need to be that? I mean, does the future need us?
No.
It seems like a very Earth-centric.
No, but why not try, but the premise itself is really what I have quoted here, that there must be a solution to survival, otherwise it would not be relevant.
But is it survival of the humanity or survival of the universe? Because it seems like two different.
Survival as a general term.
Of humanity.
Yeah. What happens? Yes.
In this discussion, I wonder, do you believe in something greater than humanity? People
Next
would
question,
refer to-
please. I believe in something greater than humanity. I'm sorry?
I was just saying the universe is greater than humanity.
Exactly, there you go. That's the answer.
Something tangible. Do you believe in reincarnation?
Oh,
Yes,
I mean, I
And
can't
would
really tell.
there be things from us be present in a few billion years, or genes, or which again,
never gets lost.
Yes.
yeah, I mean, but I'm not too sure. Information does get lost. You might want to ask
Are you
those.
speaking about personal experience?
Yeah,
There's computers that crash, for instance, then you lose it. Yeah, well, I mean, what I do believe is that we don't know everything. Yeah. So.
I could agree.
Yeah.
That makes
I don't
sense.
I know that I don't know, basically. It's just
There's a group of scientists, they believe that not in that far away future, about 10,000 years, there's nothing left of our culture. And so they're thinking about how can they talk to them? How can they say, if you open that door, maybe a door is full with radioactive stuff, it's times over 50,000 years. highly radioactive. If you open that door, everybody gonna really have a bad day. And so it's just thinking about how can they tell
Communicate.
to communicate
Yeah.
with our world, with the world after us. It's not that so far away that people thinking about it. That's nothing left of us in only 10,000 years. It's not so far away.
Yeah, that's it's a valid issue that we need to think about. Now, in this story, what happens is that when Al gets there the first time around, they just instantly learn it from her brain. You know, learn the language from her brain, so she can just go on and speak in English, obviously. And then there's one occasion where there are some so-called rollhead aliens. Well, that is another story. It's about my neck problem that I had surgery for. So these people, they just start talking the same language also, and so Al says, well, so you've learned it from my brain? No, we looked it up in the documents in your ship, or in the data in your ship. That's the way they can basically figure things out really fast from the information that they have. I guess linguists at the moment, I don't know how they can read languages that have been lost forever. How do you reconstruct what things meant? I guess that science has been evolving a lot at that point in time. That's the idea.
I feel so dumb. No, it's that's why we invited you actually to really. Somehow I feel the discussion would start right now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the rules of Creative Mornings are it's over, but it's obviously not over. It'll go on for the next 30 billion years. Yeah. So you got her contacts, you know her website, there's music, there's martial arts, there's literature. I rarely met a also exceptional woman. You are all exceptional, but as you are, with all your beauty in your mind, and thank you for giving us this present of this, I don't know, a tenth of a percent of whatever goes on in your mind.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Meine Damen und Herren, einen herzlichen Applaus für Aleve.